Hello and welcome back to English Podcast Voice, the place where we break down English for you. I'm your host, Quinn.
And I'm Riley. Good to see everyone.
Today we are diving into a really deep pool of material. It's all about how to change your life, but not with these huge, scary goals. We're talking about tiny, almost like ridiculous micro habits.
That's right.
I don't know about you, but I used to make these massive New Year's resolutions.
Oh, yeah. The classic.
Totally. Like, I will study English for 3 hours every single day.
Yeah.
And I would, fail after 2 days and just feel so much guilt.
Right.
It was this cycle of starting big and then just crashing hard. The truth is that method is it's totally wrong.
Absolutely. We often struggle because we confuse effort, brute force, with the correct method.
Exactly.
Today, we're going to really dissect this idea that success is not about these singular monumental events. It's about a sequence of small, consistent actions. It's popularized by that 1% improvements theory.
And we'll learn why saying thank you instead of sorry can instantly make your English sound more confident. And later, we'll do a pop quiz on why listening speed matters.
That's going to be a good one.
It is. So before we get into all of that, if you're enjoying this already, please take a second to subscribe to English Podcast Voice and like this deep dive right now. It really helps us out.
It really does.
Okay, let's get into it. The first section, dismantling big goals.
The power of the smallest step.
Right. But how small is small? That's my first question. If I want to learn English faster, shouldn't I be doing a 45-minute lesson? It feels more, productive.
That's such a great question because it gets right to the heart of the psychological barrier.
Mm.
The 1% improvement idea is it's like compound interest at the bank.
Okay.
You put in a tiny amount every day. At first, you see almost nothing. It feels pointless. But over time, it grows exponentially.
Because you're earning interest on the interest.
Exactly. It's not about being perfect today. It's about being consistently just a little bit better. That's it.
Okay, so contrast that with the way I used to do it, the all-at-once method. Or, cramming.
Right. So
Yeah.
cramming, which is what we all did in school, only stores information in your short-term memory. Think of it like a temporary notepad or like the RAM on your computer. It holds things for a moment, but then it's gone.
And it gets erased to make room for the next thing. I've definitely felt that.
We all have. Micro habits, on the other hand, through that daily repetition, they force the information to move from that notepad to your long-term memory.
The permanent hard drive.
The permanent hard drive. The repetition is the signal to your brain that says, hey, this is important, save this.
Okay, so back to the real-world examples. The source mentioned one about writing.
Yes. Instead of having a goal like write for 2 hours, which feels huge.
Totally overwhelming.
The micro habit is just write one sentence.
One sentence, that's it.
That's it. Or instead of a 45-minute workout, it's stretch for 2 minutes.
That feels so easy. It's almost like cheating.
But that's the point. You remove the barrier. You remove the friction, and that's how you build momentum.
Okay, momentum. Let's talk about that. You mentioned an actionable tip, the 1-minute rule.
Yes. This is all about what we call inducing momentum.
Yeah.
You commit to doing something for just 1 minute.
Okay.
For English, that could be shadowing one single phrase while your coffee is brewing, or reviewing one flashcard of a word like consistency.
Just one.
Just one. Because starting is the hardest part. Once you've started, that momentum often carries you further than you planned.
So the win isn't learning the word on the flashcard. The win is doing the flashcard.
You've nailed it. The win is showing up and reinforcing the identity of someone who practices every day.
That's a huge mindset shift. Okay, let's get into the vocabulary for this. Let's start with a really tricky one. Discipline. My first thought is, what is the difference between discipline and punishment? They feel so close sometimes.
That is a crucial, crucial distinction, and it's where a lot of guilt comes from. In this context, discipline is not punishment. It's not pushing yourself to extremes. In plain English, discipline is creating small, sustainable habits that you can keep doing even on a bad day.
So it's about the method, not about being, morally strong.
Exactly. It's about the system, not your morality.
Okay, this is a big one. Let's go through some examples.
For sure. So in a formal context, you might say, achieving linguistic discipline requires daily exposure, regardless of duration.
Okay, sounds academic.
Right. Casually, you could say, my study buddy has great discipline. They practice 5 minutes every morning without fail.
I like that one. It's a compliment.
It is. For a funny or weird one, I showed huge discipline by not eating the entire pizza, only 3 slices.
Huh. I can relate to that. That's an act of massive self-control.
Totally. And a historical example. Victor Hugo, the writer, showed extreme discipline by locking away his clothes to force himself to write The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Wait, really?
Yes, he literally removed the option to go outside. He engineered his environment for discipline.
Wow. Okay, and a philosophical one.
True discipline is the bridge between a high ambition and the small steps required to reach it.
That's beautiful. It connects the dream to the boring reality of doing the work.
Exactly.
Okay, let's try a role play with this. This will be really helpful.
Let's do it. You start.
Okay. I really want to start reading books in English, but I keep stopping after the first chapter. I think I just lack discipline.
You might not lack discipline. You might just be setting the wrong goals. Reading a whole chapter is a huge leap.
So what should I do? Read just one paragraph.
Even smaller. Exactly. If you show the discipline to read one single sentence every morning, you'll start building momentum.
That feels ridiculously easy, but I guess that's the whole point, right? To make the habit impossible to fail.
That's the core of building emotional discipline and consistency. You protect the streak.
I love that. Okay, what about collocations, the words that usually go with discipline?
Good question. The most common is probably self-discipline. Then you have things like military discipline, which is very strict.
Very different context.
Totally. And discipline can also be a field of study, like the discipline of psychology.
Ah, okay.
We also talked about emotional discipline. That's managing your reactions, the pause. And the most important nuance for us today is just remembering it's gentle consistency, not self-punishment.
Oh, gentle consistency. I'm writing that down. Okay, next word. Consistency.
The engine.
Right. So how is consistency different from frequency? They seem so similar.
They do, but the difference is key. Frequency is just how often you do something. 3 times a week, for example.
Okay.
Consistency is the quality of always doing it in the same way, creating a rhythm.
Yeah.
It's about reliability, predictability.
So studying for an hour on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is high frequency, but maybe low consistency if it's not a set routine.
Exactly. Whereas 5 minutes every single morning at 7 a.m. is high consistency. The brain loves that rhythm.
Got it. Let's do the examples.
Okay, formal. The consistency of input is the most potent driver of long-term second language acquisition success.
Potent. I like that.
Casual. Her daily 10-minute listening habit shows incredible consistency.
Simple.
A funny one. My cat's consistency in demanding treats at 6 a.m. is unmatched.
Ah, yes. Very reliable.
A historical one. The Minimalist podcast has achieved remarkable consistency. They're nearing like 1,000 episodes.
No.
And philosophically, consistency transforms a task from a choice into an automatic reflex.
That's the goal, to not even have to think about it. Okay, let's do a quick role play.
You start this time.
Okay. I feel like I'm stuck on a plateau. My English just isn't improving.
Have you checked your consistency? Are you truly showing up every day?
Well, I try to study for hours on the weekend, but during the week, I miss days.
That breaks the rhythm. 5 minutes every day has more impact than 3 hours once a week. It's about building a consistent trail.
So even if I'm tired, I must maintain the streak.
You maintain the consistency, but you make the task ridiculously easy. Remember, just one flashcard. The win is showing up.
Right. The win is protecting the consistency. Okay, what are the collocations for this one?
The big one is to maintain consistency. That's a great phrase.
Okay.
You also hear linguistic consistency, which is about using grammar correctly. And the phrase consistency is key or consistency is critical.
Yeah, you hear that a lot in sports.
For sure. And its opposite, lack of consistency, which is a really common learning challenge.
And the main nuances?
It's often confused with perfection. Consistency is about the doing, not the quality of the doing, especially at the beginning.
Got it. Okay, this is so useful. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about how to build momentum and lower that barrier to entry.
Don't go anywhere.
Okay, so we've established we need these tiny, consistent steps, but I still have this feeling, this inertia. I just feel lazy when I try to start. Is that just me? Does everyone feel that lack of motivation?
Oh, absolutely everyone.
Yeah.
That resistance is completely normal. The secret is that you don't wait for motivation to show up.
So what do?
You act. Action creates momentum. The whole game is about reducing friction for the good habits and, just as importantly, increasing friction for the bad ones.
I love that. Increasing friction for bad habits. Tell me more.
Okay, let's use an analogy. Momentum is like a giant snowball at the top of a hill.
Okay.
Getting it to move that first inch is incredibly hard. It takes a ton of effort. But once it starts rolling...
It gets bigger and faster all by itself.
Exactly. It gets bigger and faster, and it becomes almost impossible to stop. That difficult first push is what we're trying to make easier.
So how do we do that? You mentioned an equation.
Yes, a motivation equation.
Yes.
It sounds complicated, but it's super simple. Motivation equals expectancy times value, divided by impulsiveness times delay.
Whoa. Okay. Break that down.
It's simple. To increase motivation, you just have to tweak those 4 things. You increase expectancy, your belief that you can succeed, by making the task super small. A 1-minute task has 100% expectancy.
Right. I know I can do that.
You increase value by connecting the task to something you really care about. Not just fluency, but confidently talking to my kid's teacher.
Making it emotional and real.
Yes. And then you decrease the things on the bottom. You decrease delay by starting immediately, the 1-minute rule.
No time to procrastinate.
And you decrease impulsiveness, the urge to do something else, by removing distractions. Put your phone in another room.
So it's not about being a better person, it's about being a better engineer of my own environment.
That is the perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
We talked about Victor Hugo locking his clothes away. He was increasing the friction for the bad habit leaving the house.
He made writing the path of least resistance.
Exactly. There's another really powerful example from a study on Vietnam veterans.
Okay.
A surprising number of soldiers who developed heroin addictions in Vietnam were able to quit almost instantly when they came home.
Wow.
Because the entire environment changed. All the cues, the people, the places, the stress that triggered the habit were gone. A radical change in environment can just erase a bad habit.
That's incredible. So for my own life, if I want to listen to English in the morning...
You put your headphones right next to your coffee machine the night before. You decrease the friction to 0.
And if I want to stop scrolling on my phone at night?
You increase the friction, log out of the apps, or even better, leave the phone to charge in the kitchen overnight. Make it inconvenient.
It's all about design, not willpower. I love this. Okay, let's dig into the vocabulary here. First up, momentum. You said it's not the same as speed. Can you explain that a little more?
Yeah, speed is just how fast you're going. Momentum is more about, it's the force or energy you gain once you're already moving.
So it's like psychological inertia.
Perfect. It's that feeling where continuing is easier than stopping.
Got it. Let's hear the examples.
Okay. In a formal context, the successful launch of the first mini-mission created the necessary momentum for the subsequent steps.
Right. Very project management-y.
Totally, casually.
Right.
Once I started listening to that English podcast, I built momentum and kept going easily.
I like that.
For a funny one, the baby built up incredible momentum crawling towards the dropped cookie.
An unstoppable force.
Exactly. Historically. After publishing his first section, the writer gained momentum and finished the book ahead of schedule.
The first win propelled him forward.
Yep. And philosophically, achieving momentum transforms hard work into an automatic, natural flow.
That flow state is what we're all after. Okay, role play time.
Let's do it.
Okay, I did it. I finished my 2-minute stretching habit today. I feel good.
Excellent. That's how you build momentum. You feel that little win.
But I don't want to lose it tomorrow. What if I feel tired?
Then you just repeat the 2 minutes, or even just 1 minute. The act of showing up, however small, keeps the momentum alive.
So the small action is really just the psychological warm-up. It gets the snowball rolling.
Precisely. And once you start, that momentum often carries you beyond your minimal goal. But even if it doesn't, you still won the day.
Because you maintain the streak. I see. Okay, collocations for momentum.
The big ones are verbs: to build momentum, to gain momentum, to maintain momentum, and the opposite, to lose momentum.
Simple enough.
And the main nuance is just that it's usually used metaphorically for projects or ideas, not just physical movement. It applies that psychological inertia.
Got it. Okay, next word, reinforce. When I'm talking about my memory, why would I use reinforce instead of strengthen? They seem like the same thing.
It's a subtle but important difference. Strengthen is general. Reinforce specifically means adding more support to something that's already there.
Oh, like reinforcing a bridge with more steel.
Exactly. So in learning, repetition helps reinforce the neural pathway. You're adding another layer of strength to that connection in your brain.
I love that visual. Okay, let's hear the 5 examples.
Formal. Every review session helps to reinforce the neural circuit associated with the learned vocabulary.
Very scientific.
Casual. Listening to the same podcast episode twice helped reinforce my comprehension.
That's a great practical tip.
It is. Funny weird. I had to reinforce the bookshelf with a third piece of wood because my books are too heavy.
A literal reinforcement.
Yep. Historically, the construction team had to reinforce the dam after the storm damage.
Adding support to an existing structure.
Exactly. And a philosophical one. Celebrating small wins helps reinforce the habit loop. The celebration is the extra support.
That's smart. The good feeling is the reinforcement. Okay, let's do a role play for this.
I'm ready.
Okay, so I just learned a new idiom, chip away at a task. How do I make sure I don't forget it by tomorrow?
You need to reinforce it. Use it today in 3 different sentences. That's called retrieval practice.
Okay, so I will write it down, maybe use it in a comment online, and try to use it in a conversation with my language partner tonight.
Perfect. Every time you retrieve that memory from your brain, you reinforce the knowledge. You're shifting it from that short-term notepad to the long-term hard drive.
Carving the path deeper, I get it. What about the collocations?
You can reinforce a memory, reinforce a habit, or reinforce a point in an argument.
Okay.
And a really important one from psychology is positive reinforcement. That's rewarding yourself after a good behavior.
A celebration.
Exactly. And the nuance is just remembering it implies adding something, repetition, support, a reward to an existing structure to make it more stable.
This is so helpful. Okay, let's move on to the actual language of productivity. The idioms.
Yes, this is where you can really start to sound fluent.
The sources we looked at said that using these kinds of idioms is a big sign of B2 level or higher. It helps you build rapport, right?
Totally. It shows you understand the culture of work, not just the words. It's about sounding competent and transparent with your colleagues.
Okay, first one. It sounds a little aggressive. Put a dent in something. Why a dent? Is that like a car accident?
It does sound like that. But it's about making a really visible, significant mark. When you put a dent in metal, you can see it. It's a deep change.
So it means you've done a big chunk of a project.
A big, noticeable chunk. It's not finished, but you've made serious, visible progress.
I like that. Okay, let's hear the 5 examples.
Formal. We need to convene the committee to put a dent in the comprehensive financial report by the end of the quarter.
So tackle a major part of it.
Right. Casual. Wow, I worked for 3 hours on my essay. I think I finally put a dent in the conclusion.
Meaning you made significant progress on a hard part.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Funny weird. After eating half the Thanksgiving turkey, I realized I had put a dent in my mother-in-law's cooking goals.
Huh. A visible reduction.
Yep. Historically. The construction team managed to put a dent in the bridge repair schedule despite the heavy rain.
So they made major headway.
Yes. And philosophical. Every small victory helps put a dent in the larger, overwhelming feeling of the task ahead.
I love that. Making a psychological dent in the overwhelm. Okay, let's role play an office scenario.
Sounds good. I'll start.
Okay.
Okay, I'm leaving for the day. Did you manage to put a dent in that huge guest list?
Yes. I finished sorting the entire VIP section. That was a huge part of it.
Fantastic. That really helps. Now we only have the casual invitees left.
Can you please put a dent in the agenda for the meeting while I work on the report tomorrow?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we put a good dent in that meeting prep by Friday.
Perfect. What about collocations?
You can put a big dent in something. That's very common.
Okay.
Or put a dent in the workload or the schedule. But it can also be negative. If you spend a lot of money, you can put a dent in your savings.
Ah, I see. And the main nuance?
It just implies meaningful, significant progress. It's not a small step.
Got it. Okay, the next one is the opposite. Chip away. Why chip away? How is that different?
Think about a sculptor with a block of marble. They don't take a huge chunk out. They chip away bit by bit, slowly over time.
So this is about small, continuous progress.
Exactly. It's the idiom for the 1% improvement rule. It's about consistency over a long period.
Ah, okay. The 2 idioms represent the 2 different approaches. Let's hear the examples.
Formal. We must continue to chip away at the backlog of minor customer service requests to ensure overall efficiency.
Small, repetitive tasks.
Right. Casual. I didn't finish the whole book, but I chip away at it during my commute every day. That's my life.
Huh. Mine too. Funny weird. If I keep chipping away at this massive bag of chips, I'm gonna be full soon.
Slowly making progress on the snacks.
Yep. Historical. The sculptor had to chip away at the marble for months before the final shape was visible.
Emphasizing the slow, patient process.
And philosophical. To combat procrastination, the wise person simply starts to chip away at the first sentence.
Just start small. I love it. Okay, let's do a role play for a huge project.
You start.
Okay. This is a huge project. I feel overwhelmed. Where should we even start?
Let's not try to put a dent in it. Let's just start to chip away at the research phase this week. Maybe 2 hours every Tuesday.
That feels manageable. We can chip away slowly now and then, speed things up later.
Exactly. If we tackle the difficult parts first, we can chip away at the easier parts later. I like that. Slow and steady progress is better than no progress.
Always. For collocations, it's pretty simple. You chip away at a goal or a project. Or you can chip away at a deficit, like in finance.
And the nuance is always that it's slow, steady work.
Over a long time, yes.
Okay, final idiom in this section. Scrape or scratch the surface.
The feeling of being at the very beginning.
Right. So is there a difference between scrape and scratch?
Not really. They're totally interchangeable. You can use either one.
And it means you've only done a tiny, tiny part of a huge project, right?
A very small portion, yes. It's used to emphasize how much work is left. You're just beginning to understand the scale of it.
Okay, let's hear the 5 examples for this.
Formal. Given the complexity of the data, our preliminary analysis has only scraped the surface of the deeper issues.
So we need to do way more work.
Right. Casual. We've been studying for hours, but I feel like we've barely scratched the surface of this topic.
I've said that so many times.
We all have. A funny one. I thought I cleaned the whole kitchen, but I realized I only scraped the surface of the mess under the sink.
Ha! The hidden mess.
Yep. Historical. Historians admit that despite decades of research, they have only scraped the surface of ancient Roman political life.
Because the topic is just so vast.
Exactly. And philosophical. We must remember that in our study of the universe, we have merely scratched the surface of cosmic knowledge.
A dose of humility. Okay, let's do a final role play. Let's try to use all 3 idioms together.
Ooh, a challenge. I like it. I'll start.
Go for it.
Man, I'm tired. We've worked all night.
I know. And I feel like we've barely scratched the surface of this final report.
If we finish this next section, maybe we'll at least put a good dent in it.
Agreed. Because right now, the amount left is just, it's overwhelming.
Exactly. Let's tackle one more section so we don't feel like we've just scraped the surface tomorrow.
Sounds like a plan. What about the collocations here?
They're all about emphasizing how little has been done to barely scrape the surface or only scratching the surface.
Yeah.
Or even stronger, have not even scraped the surface.
Okay. And the nuance is just to stress how huge the remaining task is.
Precisely. It implies the project is much bigger than you first thought.
Wow. Okay. We've covered a ton already. If you're finding this deep dive useful, please just take 1 second to subscribe to English Podcast Voice right now. Liking and subscribing really helps us reach more learners like you.
We appreciate it so much. Thank you.